Have you been seriously injured? Mama Justice is here for you. Our medical team partners with top-notch doctors, surgeons, therapists, and urologists, ensuring a comprehensive recovery journey. While our legal team, proven in securing million-dollar settlements, will fight fiercely on your behalf. With Mama Justice, you aren't just a client, you're family. Lean on us for both your healing and your rights. If you've been injured, call Mama Justice today. We're here for you.
Pleased to be joined now by the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Mississippi, Delbert Hosemann. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Rich. How are you, man?
I'm well. Always appreciate some of your time. Look forward to catching up on a number of issues this morning.
Oh, we got a bunch of them. First thing I'd like to say is we miss Lance. He's a great guy. Just sudden departure. Nice. Just a really good guy. We always look forward to having him here. Very competent. Just a good guy.
Very kind of you to say that. Appreciated your message after he passed away, and nice of you to share those thoughts publicly as well. We had a story several months ago where the University of Mississippi Medical Center was the victim of a cyber attack. Shut down their systems kind of across the board. They had clinics across the state that closed for multiple days, had to work through that process. The information that we got about at the time was very limited because there were lots of agencies, in addition to the IT team at UMMC, that were working hard on that. And I don't know that we have really gotten a lot of clarity to what happened or who was behind it or how much UMMC had to pay to get their systems back online. But it raises a larger question about cybersecurity for state entities. Is that on your radar?
Yes, it is. And you're dead right about this. Not only has the University of Mississippi, which is many billion-dollar business, got hacked, and they actually have been trying to prevent that. They went 11 days with doctors who had never written a prescription having to write stuff because they'd always been on computers. There's no computers out there. It hurt our health, a significant amount of monetary loss. Vicksburg Warren Central got hacked. All of their information got hacked. They had to pay some kind of ransom to get out of that. Holmes Junior College, same thing. They got all the records, all the health records. And there is a pattern here, and you're right on this, Richard. There is a pattern here. We are woefully inadequate in our cybersecurity. So I have been meeting with the Highway Patrol, Sean Tyndall, and Department of Public Safety, with others. And there's about 4 parts here, and we're missing in all of them. Now, the first part is prevention. You see these hackers getting in here. According to the FBI statistics, we lost $55 million 2 years ago and $77 million this year. That was reported. So I'm telling you now that we're losing hundreds of millions of dollars. Not everybody reports their stuff. They're kind of embarrassed about it or whatever. But it's hundreds of millions of dollars in Mississippi, in Mississippi. So not only medical, hospitals, educational institutions all over. So we're doing very little on the prevention side. We're doing nothing on the prosecution side. We're doing very little, if anything, on the public information side. A lot of our seniors and whatnot are hit with these IRS scams or whatever the scam du jour is. So we do very little on that. We're disparate in who has this. The information technology has some about what equipment and whatnot. Then we have a fusion center. Then we have Homeland Security centers doing another thing. Then we have the Attorney General with a couple of lawyers. And so we're spread all out everywhere. The biggest monetary threat we got in this state is over the Internet. And not only is it today, it's getting worse as AI and the other things that everybody is using now continues to go forward and get more, I don't know how you do better at penetrating things. I saw the other day that they started attacking their own selves. So you've got to realize that this is a huge plan, and we need to have a coordinated response to this. We have to have people know in the public about these scams. The latest one they did last night was on the Mexicans getting these co-op buildings and stuff. We have to let people know what the scams are. We have to have a set security level for everybody, hospitals, schools, whatever. We have to have somebody that's prosecuting them. Most of this stuff comes, Rich, I don't know how you got into this. I'll roll on a little bit and you stop me. But most of this stuff comes out of China and Korea and Far East. But they have mules here that are actually getting the money. They're depositing that money somewhere. And if we were really quick about it, we can freeze that money before it gets out overseas. So we not only need the knowledge, the prevention, there's some prosecution. We may be able to get to some of these people that are operating out of California or somewhere like that. But there's no central of this. So we're going to propose a Department of Homeland Security or some other name that meets the definition.
At the state level.
At the state level, and we're bringing everybody in. Now, the Highway Patrol does a great job. I don't know how many tickets they issue, but I don't think it's $100 million a year. So we really need to focus where the money is. You know, who's like Jesse James used to say, they're going where the money is. So where the money is right now is on the internet, and we are woefully educated, underserved, under-prosecuted, under everything. And so we don't have, all of this is out there, and we see these penetrations that go on where they get hundreds of thousands of dollars or somebody's life savings, $80,000. Those are very important to those people.
So I'm sure that you're privy to more information than much of the public is. Mm-hmm. Do we know, is it public, what UMMC had to pay, or did they have to pay to get their systems back online? Did they have to pay a ransom?
I talked to them a number of different times during this, and that's some of the reasons that I have started this process. You'll see the hearings coming. I never asked them straight up, how much did you have to pay?
Because they're a state entity, that would be ultimately taxpayer dollars that were used to pay a ransom, right?
Exactly. Same as it is in Vicksburg Warren Central High School, the same as it is in any of these public places that have been done. That's your money, man. So not only are they getting your money out of your pocket, they're getting your money out of the state's pocket. So now, I never asked them exactly how much they had to pay. I know that one community college said they weren't going to pay anything, and about a week later they paid hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay. Do we know ultimately how the hackers got into the UMMC system?
They had they had a sophisticated group that got into the system. It got into part of the system. I don't think it got into all of it. And I can't tell you exactly how that occurred, but I think it's a good point. UMMC recognized they had the medical records on literally tens and hundreds of thousands of people, and they have about 11,000 employees, and they run about a $2 to $3 billion business. So they had their own security people putting this together to prevent anything like this happening. So these weren't your unsophisticated senior getting a call about a tax refund or something. These were really people that were paying attention, and they still got beat. And they got beat badly, and it cost a huge amount of money, and it's health care.
It's not the Nigerian prince that's going to send you $30 million if you just share your bank account information.
No, they're a lot more. They're a lot more sophisticated, and they can call and talk, and you couldn't tell the difference if it was you or not. You personally.
So is that, or should that be public record, the amount of ransom that was paid? And we got one message that says that UMMC did not pay a ransom. So
That was what was told to me at one time, but I never substantiated that, so I can't comment on that. But I know the others did, and I know some numbers, and they're staggering.
So hearings coming this summer or next year?
No, it'll be this year. This is something, I use the old Warren County term, between the dock and the boat, you know. Well, the boat's moving further away from the dock. Every single day they're becoming more sophisticated in their operations, and we're become less protected. So my goal is to have this next month or in the next 6 weeks, then to have legislation drafted. And, Richard, it's very complicated because you've got your First Amendment rights, you've got other things that go across this under our Constitution. So I'm very concerned about that, but I think we clearly have to have a central site that warns people about what's going on, that can go recover money. If you start after them in the first 24 hours, you can probably catch them at whatever bank they're moving the money through. So we need some timeliness. We need to see if we can prosecute people that do this. If we can get service of process on somebody that touched that bank account, I want to do that, versus saying, well, there's another one, he got away. So there are certain things. The level of sophistication on their part is better every day. they get more and more better and better at doing this. So we have to be very competitive with our work. We are not. They're stealing more money out of this than you would even imagine, and it's definitely hurting everybody from our education and healthcare systems to our individual seniors.
And generally, when those ransom requests come, they come in the form of some sort of cryptocurrency, which is harder to track, and a lot of this is happening on the dark web, which is harder to track. So I'll be interested to see how those hearings develop.
The answer is not to say, well, we're not going to do it. I mean, we just need to get smart like they are.
Okay. Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann is my guest. We will talk about that first joint legislative redistricting meeting that happened at the Capitol earlier this week. May get into a little bit of an IHL conversation. And what about the political future plans for our Lieutenant Governor? That's all coming up next. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. We're back with you after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. The Lieutenant Governor, Delbert Hosemann, is my guest. We appreciate you being part of the conversation and welcome your comments and questions on the C Spire text line at 601-879-4395. A little over a year ago, the Commissioner of Agriculture, Andy Gibson, announced that he was a candidate for governor in the state of Mississippi. Shortly after that, I asked the Lieutenant Governor what his plans were, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I'll let you know at a later date. Going to think about it, going to pray about it, not entirely sure what the future holds. Since then, we have seen former Speaker of the House Philip Gunn announce that he is a candidate, and earlier this week, Attorney General Lynn Fitch announced her candidacy as well. So, Mr. Lieutenant Governor, are you going to run for governor?
You know, you're doing well. You've had announcements on your show, one already this week, Richard. You should be proud of yourself.
I'm just trying to make it a twofer.
I know. You should be proud. You got some people think the people are listening to your show. The way I told you before, the way you make these decisions, I make them along these lines. You first start at home, and then you start at church, and then I take out a yellow legal pad, and I put down the advantages and disadvantages, and that's always been done a good way for me to do that. You start at home, go to church, and then take out your yellow legal pad. So we'll see. We're not on the announcements. You already had one announcement this week, so you're good.
Well, I think you told me last time that you were going to wait until after the session was over, and it's been over for a while. Yeah. I mean, do you need a legal pad? Do you want me to send you one?
I've got one, Richard, and it's got notes on it, so we'll deal with it in due time.
Okay. Any timeline for you on that decision?
You know, not really. We're looking at the coming fall, and I know people say this kind of stuff, but it really applies. In the last 48 hours, I've worked on lowering drug costs. I've worked on attainable housing for people to be in here. I've worked on reduction in taxes. I've worked on a whole plethora of different things. I'm actually working pretty busily on the things that people hired me to do. Some people think it's okay to quit a year early and get paid and start running. I got a job to do, so I think I better concentrate on that. People will judge you, I think, by the job you do.
And I appreciate that stance, but there also is a timeline where you've got to get out. And I know you visit with people all the time, but you can't just a week before or 2 weeks before an election say, hey, I'm up for this as well. That's not a great formula for winning either.
No, but I found like in the announcement that was earlier this week, and good luck to Lynn, that I get more phone calls about making sure, I want you to run now. You make sure you run. I got them from the Mississippi Gulf Coast to the northern parts in the last 48 hours. People encouraging me to run for governor, and I think that really evolves around that we've been there a while, and the state is doing exceptionally well. Our education is better, obviously. We funded all of that, and our economics are good. Transportation, we're building a bunch of different things. As you know, we've paid off $1.2 billion of the state's debt. Nobody's ever done that before, like ever, and not just me. I mean, the legislature did that. And things are just going exceptionally well. We fixed the retirement plan, which is a miracle in itself. Voter ID, I did that long ago. And so it's just going well. And I think people view me as having good common sense, middle of the road, Reagan conservative guy that tries to do the best thing. So most of the time gets there. So I get a lot of calls about that, and I'm honored to do that. I never thought I'd be here in the first place.
Earlier this week, we got the first revenue report from the Joint Legislative, the JBLC. I messed that acronym. Ahead of projections by about $20 million or 4%. Was that surprising to you at all?
Yes, we were about 17 to 20 million ahead. Last year we took a couple of bad months towards the end, and we ended up having a good last month. Finished about 170 million ahead. We continue, as the country does, continue to have a significant impact. A lot of that, Richard, is the construction of these various cybersecurity centers. They're exceptionally expensive. They're spending billions of dollars. That means they're paying the driver and the guy that runs the dirt truck and all these others. So we're seeing huge amounts of money. That will end out probably in the 2 to 3 year range, and those will go away and we'll revert back to 180 to 200 employees in there versus literally thousands of people working on that.
But that's assuming we don't have ongoing construction of the data centers, right?
That's correct. I think where we are on data centers probably is to take a good healthy pause, and I'll tell you why. We're investing with Entergy $3 billion and to build turbines. We're building 2 new electric plants, and under the scenario that was given to us by these various companies, about 60 to 70% of it will be paid for by those companies. Now, that presupposes, of course, that they're able to pay. So you want to watch it. It's like you're doing your investing in stocks. You don't know all your money on one stock. So I think we need to make sure that the economic flow is there. I worked this week on small nuclear reactors. Eventually, there'll be one running that data center. And it's not going to be this year or next year, probably 10 years out. But eventually they will get their electricity from the most economical point, which will be a small nuclear reactor. The United States has 2 of them. They're operating now out in the West, and we're trying to get them to build them here in Mississippi. That's one of the things I'm working on. So the energy usage will move around, and so we just need to pay attention here. Amazon's done a great job. We're glad to have them here. But I also want to make sure that they're cash flowing before I'm going to put ratepayers on the hook. And right now, if they stay in existence about 10 or 12 years, we'll get all our money back, and then we'll be in pretty good shape.
I'm wildly fascinated by the technology that goes along with the modular nuclear reactors, those small reactors that you just referenced a second ago. Is that going to be existing energy companies? You referenced Entergy just a second ago. Mm-hmm. Are they going to be the ones that are in the business of that, or is this going to be private companies? I mean, could it be the next spinoff for Elon Musk?
Well, I think both. And I've met with Entergy about this, and they are in discussions, and I'll let Haley and them talk about that part. But they're in discussions with small nuclear reactors as to be a purveyor for them to utilize in different site locations, particularly like we've talked about where there's major energy use. In the same breath, there are other companies that are constructing these to be bought by an individual. They're very expensive right now, so their economics aren't right yet. But it'll get there, and for a whole various number of reasons. But it will get there to where they're economically feasible. So right now they're not, and I know that Entergy is working with various and sundry ones that create these small nuclear reactors, and we are actively looking at other companies that we can bring to Mississippi. I've got a leg up in this. I don't know how we got on this particular topic, but I've got a leg up in my work on this because we already have Grand Gulf. Right. So I can go build these things when I've already got all of the permits I need for all the surrounding area and the escape routes and all the things you have to do to get approved. So I've got those. The state of Mississippi's got those. So we have an opportunity to actually construct these things, these various reactors in Mississippi, which is where I want to go. It's not just the utilization of one out here in Madison somewhere. I want to build them. So our energy committee chairman, Mr. Carter, Senator Carter from the coast, has been active in this, and we intend to continue to be active.
Is Is there an appetite for another major nuclear reactor like exists at Grand Gulf there in Claiborne County? Those are ridiculously expensive.
They're very expensive, and they're weighing those against the cost of these small nuclear reactors. And the last I talked to Entergy about that particular part, they said it was too expensive to build.
Yeah. I got a question from a buddy, and to your point, I know we're off topic a little bit from maybe where we thought we were going to go. Says, if we can run an aircraft carrier or a submarine off of a nuclear reactor, why can't we run cities off them?
Well, the answer is yes. We are.
Let's get there.
I fully intend to be there, and I want Mississippi to be on the leading edge of it because I think it's going to be eventually be cheaper. Your cost per kilowatt right now would be higher because the things are too darn expensive right now.
Sure.
But as they matriculate down, you remember what TVs used to cost and what they cost now.
Yeah. Minute and a half until the break, and then we'll wrap up on the other side.
Yeah.
First joint legislative redistricting committee meeting at the Capitol this past week. Did you think anything was accomplished?
Yes, we started the road. I encourage everybody that's listening to your program. You have great listening audience, and these are politically aware people. I want you to go to the meetings and tell my senators and my members of the House that the Speaker put on there. Tell them how you want Mississippi redistricted. I mean, some people play with these things on the internet or whatever, but this is a significant rule. It is going to affect how you elect your congressman. It is going to affect possibly how you elect your Supreme Court. You could see some redistricting in the legislature. So this is a massive thing, and everybody needs to pay attention. So we're having these hearings not for just fun. We're having them because we want to know how you want us to do this. I think that's how we ought to do it. And when they come back here in October, we're going to redistrict Mississippi and then ask for a special session from the governor.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Do you anticipate a special session before the end of the calendar year?
I'm going to request one, and I have discussed it with the governor and would appreciate very much if he would do that sometime or right after Thanksgiving.
Delbert Hosemann is the Lieutenant Governor. He will stick around for just a couple of more minutes. We'll visit with him and wrap the conversation up on the other side of this break. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Glad to be with you. The show is presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community.
Don't know much about history. Don't know much biology.
Thank you for being part of the conversation this morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Just a couple of minutes left with the Lieutenant Governor, Delbert Hosemann, who's always kind with his time when he comes in studio. The last time you and I visited, you did not mince words about your displeasure with the IHL, the way they are operating, and the conversation around performance-based funding for our colleges and universities. And you pointed out that the proposal that they had on the table allocated about 1% of their overall budget for performance-based funding. I had a follow-up conversation with Robert Johnson, the minority leader in the House, and he said the idea of performance-based funding was absolutely ridiculous, and he pointed to the important role that Mississippi Valley plays in its community and other HBCUs do in theirs as well. Regardless of which side of the conversation you're on, how you feel about performance-based funding, this feels like one of those topics that's easy to talk about, but it's a little harder to get action on. How does this story advance one way or another?
Well, first of all, let's just start with the facts. That's always a good place to start. And then, of course, I was terribly disappointed in the Institutions of Higher Learning Board. Mississippi Alcorn University graduates 32% of their people within 4 years, and 46% graduated in 6 years. Southern Mississippi, 38% in 4 years, 51%. Ole Miss, 54% in 4 years, 67% in 6 years. MUW, 28% in 4 years, 37%. Mississippi Valley State University, 14% graduate in 4 years. In 6 years, 25% of them graduate. Mississippi State University, 41% in 4 years, 63% in 6 years. Jackson State, 21% in 4 years, 34% in 6 years. Delta State, 29%, graduated in 4 years, and 46%. The national average is about 66%. Only 2 of our universities actually meet the national average on graduation. So the first thing that we need to remember is that we are educating the children of the future. The new Richard or the new Tate or whomever, the new board of supervisors, new president of the bank, whatever, is being educated in our university systems. And they are not being graduated in a timely fashion or significantly enough of them. Now, if you want to argue the social aspects of this, yes, we certainly can have those kinds of discussions, and I appreciate Representative Johnson. But the facts are we're not graduating people. And then the second part of the facts is that that degree may not be worth much of anything. So when we came up and passed a bill in the Senate, we recommended 75% of the actual money that we spend, about $800 or $900 million comes from us, and the rest of it comes from tuition and whatnot. Our $800 or $900 million should be based 75% on success. How many kids are you graduating? Do they have a good degree? Are they able to get an economic job? Are we educating the next 2 decades of leaders in Mississippi? Those are very common and should be asked. But no, what we got back was, no, we want to allocate 1%. That's what the IHL got back from them, 1% on performance, and 99% on just leaving it like it is. It's not going to stay like it is. We don't have the money as a state, first of all, to carry ineptitude. That's number one. Number two, the biggest part of this is we're lying to our kids. They're spending their money, they're getting in debt and everything, and they're not graduating. And if they do graduate, very rarely, then they don't get a job that is meaningful. They can't pay off their student debt. So we're not being accurate with them. And so you'll see hearings coming. And there are, Richard, I just want to be honest, I can see these coming where we will look at the legislature allocating its money based on performance. Now, for the last 3 years you've been around, I've been asking y'all, we need to do better, we need to make sure that we're upside. And there are places where we need, Ole Miss has an offsite, Southern has the coast, Mississippi State has one in Meridian, MUW has one in Philadelphia. They all have these satellites and whatnot. There's a real need for access to an education system that is performing. Real need for that. And so we want to ensure that our kids can get those educations. But right now, Richard, we're not performing. And I think you'll see individual boards legislation this year where each university has its own board. I think you'll see the legislature appropriate its money for people who are performing, just like the real world.
Will the IHL continue to exist because they're a constitutionally created entity?
It's a constitutional entity, so I think, quite frankly, we'll just simply bypass them if we're not able to work with them. I think they were great people. I know all those people, and they're smart. I mean, I think they come with a good heart. I don't know what happens between the time they get appointed and the time we have to look at this.
Mr. Lieutenant Governor, I appreciate your time this morning. Good to visit with you as always. And we'll keep an eye out for when you pass along those notes on the legal pad.
I can tell you one thing. Watching the rest of the country, we need to go vote for Cindy Hyde-Smith. We got to elect a Republican senator out of here. You look at the rest of this country, you know we need that.
Thank you, sir.